Hi, my name's Ashley B. Red. I focus on horror and psychological things on this channel, and today I am joined by the girl that I'm sure is giving you, in the nicest way, all the worst nightmares in the world right now. It is Natalie Grace from Cronin's The Mummy. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I saw this movie last week and I'm
Oh,
still traumatized by it. And I mean that in the best way possible because your
yay!
performance was just so intense and so amazing. And I just have so many things I want to ask you. First of all, before we get into the movie, I just want to ask you, how did you get into acting? What was your gateway into film?
Oh, okay. So I started out about 4 years old. I did a lot of musical theater and any type of theater play that I could. And then it kind of converted from that to an interest in film. I started taking classes for film at 10, maybe 11. And then I got an agent because I did a showcase and then it just snowballed from there. But I've always done some sort of acting and art because it's just what I love to do.
Perfect. Have you done horror before this film, or was this kind of like your first
This is my first ever, I think one of
big,
my
big?
first, horror auditions too, because I would get some and I would turn them down when I was younger because 'cause I'd be scared to do them. Um, and then I got this one and I was like, "Okay, well, we'll try it," and I didn't expect it to go anywhere, and now we're here, so
Amazing. So Lee Cronin, obviously, he's known for gore. I don't know if obviously you saw Evil Dead, but
I did.
when you took the part, were you expecting that level of gore? How did you kind of prepare yourself for those scenes?
I was so overwhelmed with everything that was happening. I auditioned and got the role in the same week and also flew to Ireland to meet him in the same week, so it was just a lot. I went to LA for a makeup test before I even knew I had the role. Like, so much happened in that 1 week. I remember watching Evil Dead in a hotel room actually, because it was the night before I was going to meet him, and I was like, "Crap, I need to watch his other movie because I had already watched the previous one." And I think that was, like, my first moment where I realized I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, this is
Mm.
very bloody, like, this is gonna be
Yeah.
really gory, but I don't even know if I have this role yet, so it's probably fine." And then once I booked the role, I kinda had to very quickly come to terms with the fact that I was just gonna be covered in gunk and blood for 4 months.
Damn. So what is the makeup process? That is my next question, actually. What was the makeup process like? What was the transformation into Katie? What was it like getting into that? How many hours do you have to sit in that chair every day?
The minimum was 6. We sometimes could do it in 6, most of the time it was 8, 8 hours, and then because stage 3 takes the longest, and we ended up being in that stage for longer than we expected, so and then one time it even took close to 10 hours, but minimum would be 6 hours, and that became really easy. I would just sleep the entire time and listen to audiobooks and try to zone out because I was so exhausted by that point, they would just have to, like, nudge me awake, and I would be fully just mummified.
Wow. What sort of audiobooks? That was going to be a question of mine. So, what sort of audiobooks and music did you listen to kind of like get your mindset clear? Because this is obviously quite a dark, intense role. So, what did you do to kind of like look after yourself in your mind? And what did you do to distract yourself when you weren't in this process?
I just listened to a lot of literary fiction. I actually got into more psychological horror novels while I was there, but I only read a few just because I kind of thought that maybe it wouldn't be a really good idea to consume that much content that's so
Hmm.
dark because I was already in such a dark place, but I was so interested in it and I wanted to like keep going down that path. But just a lot of literary fiction. But then for the music, it was a lot of rock and screamo because that just helps me stay awake, and that's what the type of music I like. So it wasn't going to negatively impact me. It actually really helped.
Nice. So, what kind of is there a particular band or particular song that you listen to? What was your favorite?
I listened to a lot of Slipknot, and then, like, on the opposite end of that, I listened to a lot of Aurora because I thought
Ah.
that, a lot of her songs in her new album, her newer music really fit the character.
Okay, that's really interesting. I'm sure that she would be really happy to hear that. So we'll see if we can pop it out to her to let her know. It's a really good dynamic change between Slipknot and Aurora. Definitely a really good dynamic change between those both. Obviously, this movie's like smashing the box office right now. How does it feel to see that success? and how big this film is becoming because everybody's talking about it.
It's very overwhelming. I'm so glad that people are responding positively to it. I get so many comments now saying how they just were so scared and loved the film so much, and that's what matters. So as long as that is happening, I'm happy, and I think that I know that what we created is a good film. So I just try to think about those things instead of like the fact that it's all over the world and my face is everywhere.
Yeah, it's an excellent film. Like, I'm a huge horror fan. I watch horror pretty much nearly every single day, and I wanted to make sure that I tried to get hold of you. And I said I really want to interview this girl because I was like, she's so interesting, and also it was really hard to tell like how old you were because obviously the character is so young, and I was like, I have no idea. And I was like, this girl's acting is brilliant, like so good. You're very talented. So it was very
Thank
interesting
you.
to watch you on screen. And I have friends that came with me to the screening that they don't get scared very often, and they were like the whole time. Like they were like, this is so intense and so crazy. What were the cast like to work with? Were you guys really close? Did you meet not long before it, or what was it like working with all the family together?
I was there a month before anyone else got there, so in the beginning it was a little bit hard for me to connect with people because my character is very isolated in the whole film, and Lee wanted me to be isolated from everyone else before the first table read we had, just to kind of prep the dynamics. But once I met everyone, I think I met Laya first,
Mm.
and we became really close, and I'm really close with Veronica. I think out of everyone, we have the strongest friendship maybe. Like, I talk to her weekly, and she's been such an inspiration, and she helped so much during the filming process. But even, like, I hung out with Jack. I tried to hang out with the siblings as much as possible, but our schedules were really different, and I would be in the makeup chair for, like, 8 hours while they were doing their scenes. But whenever I could, I tried to see people, but it was a pretty isolated experience for me.
It's also interesting that they brought a bit of humor into the movie because it was such a dark film. It was interesting for the audience to see how funny it was, if that makes sense. There's a lot of good one-liners and things. So did with the
Yeah.
cast and crew, did you try and kind of like have a lot of laughs in between? Because I can imagine some of the scenes were really intense. Like, was there any particular scene that you remember filming that was very difficult or memorable scene?
Yes, I don't wanna give any spoilers. It's one of the last scenes
Okay.
that kind of marks, like, the whole 3rd act of the movie, um, and it was just taking forever to film because we needed it to be lined up a specific way for it to work, and I remember, like, everyone was just so delirious, I just couldn't stop laughing, and I couldn't take anything seriously, so I probably wasn't helping the situation, but that whole scene probably took way longer than it should've, but it was just so funny because what we were doing was so, like, serious and terrifying, but outside of, like, filming it, it was so ridiculous.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And I think when it comes to in a psychological way, when you're in an audience, a lot of people with horror, they do start laughing with a sort of coping
Yeah.
mechanism. Because that's what you have to do, because sometimes you're so nervous that you don't know
Mhm.
what else to do but laugh. So it is a way of coping with different things. Obviously, we won't give too many spoilers, but everyone has seen in all of these previews that there is a really famous toenail scene. That
Yeah.
was one of the scariest things I've ever sat through in a cinema before.
Really?
It was so
So funny.
intense to watch. Was it funny to film? Was it like a fun?
Yeah, it was really fun. It was also I remember, like, when they would do the close-up shots of my toes, I
Hmm.
like, this part of me wouldn't be on set, and I would be holding, like, 3 hot water bottles because it was so cold in Ireland at that
Oh,
time.
really?
Like, even when I had all those layers of prosthetics on, it made me colder, like, I would just shiver. So,
Really?
half the time, I would just be, like, sitting there with my hot water bottles, watching them do this, watching my skin tear off and all of this, so that whole experience, I think that scene probably took 3, maybe 4 days, like, on and off. We came
Wow.
back to it, but it was a lot because it's so specific and it's such a critical, like, framing that it had to
Yeah.
be.
It's an incredible scene. Like I said, everyone that I went to see the screening with, because we saw the early screening, and everyone was just physically like this. And you're saying it was cold. Ironically, in the screening, it was so hot where we were. So we were just like sweating and we're watching
So
this toe
funny.
and we're
That probably
covering our
made it more
eyes.
scary.
It
Yeah.
did. It did.
Funny.
It did. Can you see yourself doing more horror films in the future? Is it something you think that you'll take on?
I do. I would really like to do different, like, types of horror movies. I would love to do thrillers too, anything that's stunt heavy, because I did all my own stunts.
Oh wow.
And I would love to have the opportunity to do more stunts, and I feel like in thrillers and horror movies, there's more opportunity for that.
When you did your own stunts, do you mean did you have any like background in any sort of athletic background or gymnastics, anything like that? Or was it just something that you learned on set?
I did gymnastics when I was, like, 7 for about a month, and then I gave up. So, I don't really have any. I danced, though, from, like, the age of 4 all the way through, like, 16. I did ballet, I did jazz, I did tap,
Mm.
um, anything I could, and then I do a lot of yoga, so that probably helped.
That probably
But
does help, yeah.
yeah, I've been kind of, like, inclined to just being, like, flexible and crazy stuff like that, but never any gymnastics. Can't do
It's
gymnastics.
definitely benefited you doing yoga. Is it all the positions that
Yeah,
you have to put yourself in for the film?
yeah.
Do you have a personal, just to share with the viewers, you said about your music, do you have any personal favorite horror films?
Um, The Exorcist,
That's
that's a
classic.
classic.
Classic,
Classic.
classic. Great answer.
Um, Poltergeist, The
Great.
Thing. I really like The Thing. I watched that while we were filming, actually, because one of the makeup artists told me to, because I had never even heard of it, and I got off work at, like, 10 p.m. and just sat in front of the TV screen and watched it. But it was so good.
As a classic. I think the thing is when you're playing a role like this, you do need to have all your horror game up here or your head. You need to be completely in the zone. So it's probably very
Yeah.
great that you asked that. I do have a quick question. Did you get a scorpion tattoo?
I did, yeah. It's
I
on
saw
my
that.
Instagram, and I think it might be on my TikTok too. Yeah, I did. I got it in I turned 20 in March, and I just always get tattoos for my birthday, so I thought it would be a good thing to get. And I love scorpions.
Perfect. So I was gonna say, I'm not sure how you feel about scorpions now, but I love that you have that as a tattoo. That's super fun. That's so good. I've been Ashley B. Red. This has been an interview with Natalie Grace. Is there anything else you want to tell us? One more thing about the movie, just before you go, just to push more people to see it.
Oh my gosh, you probably don't want to bring snacks. People have been saying that they're bringing snacks to it and then they're not able to eat.
No, not a
So,
good idea. Don't bring snacks. That's you heard it from her herself. The mummy says, "Do not bring any snacks to Lee Cronin's The Mummy." Can you please let us know where we can find you so we can follow you on socials?
I have an Instagram and I just made a TikTok because a few people were asking me to. It's the same username. It's just Natty underscore Grace underscore. Um, but yeah, you can just find me on either of those.
Thank you again, and I really hope that we see you on our screens again very soon. Thank you for your time. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.